Hey everyone, it's Carol here. Today I thought I'd show you how to make these 4 Christmas charms. Now you can add these to a bracelet or an earring like I've done with the candy cane, or perhaps even a necklace. So we're going to start off with this angel. Now I have made this angel in blue. Just in case you don't like the Christmas red and green, it's always good to have an option. And so I went with blue, but obviously you could change it with red or green or maybe white, whatever suits you. Then we're going to make this Christmas ornament, and this one is made with a rhinestone acrylic ball and a green bicone and some other stuff. The candy cane is just made with some seed beads and a head pin. And lastly, the more complex one. Now this is a Christmas wreath, and it's made with a component, a loop, and it's wire wrapped, so it's going to take a wee bit more time. But it is quite a bit larger than the others, and it would maybe make good earrings or a necklace if you put it on a chain, but probably not on a bracelet. It's probably a little bit big for that. Okay, shall we get started? To make this angel charm, all you'll need is 4 things. You'll need one 12mm faceted round bead, and this one is acrylic. This is a 6mm vacuum bead in the blue. Some angel wings beads, and these have a hole right through the center there, and one eye pin. Now I've made this in silver, but you could easily make it in gold. You will also need some wire cutters and round nose pliers, and you might need some chain nose pliers. Let's get started. This is a super easy project. So what we're going to do is we're going to thread our 12mm bead onto our eye pin, and then our angel wings and our vacuum bead. Super easy. There's your angel. Next we're going to take our wire cutters and we're going to cut, just going to pop that out of the way, cut the wire at about 1 centimetre from the end, from the beads, holding both ends and using the flush side of your cutters. Now if you are making these into earrings, just keep that piece, and when you make your second one, measure how much you cut off by the length that you've cut off here, so line it up with the piece that you're going to cut off the next one. Now we're going to take our round nose pliers. Actually, before we do that, we're going to bend this over so that it's at right angles to the bead, and take your round nose pliers. I'm going to make my loop quite small here, and just pop the wire into the jaws, and making sure that it's not sticking up. So you want it to be flush. Then you're going to turn it away from you just by twisting your wrist as far as it will go. Remove the pliers, pop it back onto the bottom jaw, and twist some more until you get the loop closed. Okay, there's my angel charm. Super easy, super quick, but quite effective. Now, as I said, you could add this to a charm bracelet, or perhaps to a chain for a necklace. If you were going to add it to a chain, you'd probably want to add a jump ring at the top. Okay, that's project 1. Let's move on. Next, we're going to make the Christmas ornament charm. To do that, you need a 12mm acrylic rhinestone ball. You need an 8mm beaded rondelle. This one's silver, but you could obviously make it in gold as well. A 6mm acrylic bicone, or a glass bicone, either would do. 2 tiny seed beads, so these ones are silver lined red seed beads. And this is a 3mm corrugated silver ball, and one 3cm eye pin. Super easy. All we're going to do is thread on our rhinestone ball, our beaded rondelle, the bicone, one seed bead, the corrugated ball, and one more seed bead. There's what we have, and now we're going to make a loop. I'm going to bend the wire at right angles to the bead, to the last bead. Next, I'm going to trim my wire to about 1 centimetre from the bend, holding both sides and making sure that the flush side of my cutters is facing the earring component, the charm component. I'm so used to talking about earrings. If you are making earrings, just a little tip, keep this bit, and then when you go to, then you can trim your eye pin before you start to the same size by measuring it on that piece. Okay, now I'm going to take my round nose pliers. Once again, making sure that my piece of eye pin doesn't stick up past the end of the jaws, and twist away from me. Take my pliers out and twist some more to make a nice closed loop. And there you have one Christmas ornament charm. Super easy. Let's move on. Next, we're going to make the candy cane charm. Now, I have put this one on an ear hook so that if you, I will show you how to do that, so that if you wanted to make any of these charms into earrings, you would know how to do that. So to make this candy cane, you will need 8 of these red silver lined seed beads. You will need 7 of these opaque white seed beads, a 3.5 centimetre ball pin. Now, the difference between a ball pin and a head pin is simply that it has a ball on the end rather than the flat head that a head pin has, and 1 ear wire if you do choose to make it into an earring. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a head pin, ball pin, and I'm just going to straighten it a bit because it's a bit bent, and pick up a red seed bead. Then we're going to pick up a white seed bead. Notice that I'm doing this, and a red one, from the table rather than picking the beads up in my hand. And the reason I'm doing that is with seed beads I just find it a little easier. The seed beads tend to get trapped between my fingernails and my finger, and so this works much better for me. They want to run away from me today. So we started with a red one and we're finishing with a red one. So now we have this. You'll notice the ball on the end just gives it a nice little pretty touch. And next I'm going to just bend the head pin over so it's at a 90-degree angle. Right, I'm going to take my round nose pliers. So what I've got here is I've got the component sticking out to my left. So that works for me because I'm right-handed. You may find that for you it works the other way. So popping it into the jaws of my pliers, making sure it's not sticking up, and I'm just going to twist my wrist away from me, just like we did before to make a loop. Move the wire to the bottom jaw and twist some more, making sure that it's nicely closed. When you're working with seed beads, it's important to make sure your loop is closed, just so that they don't fly off because they are quite little. So that's what we've got now. Now I'm actually going to take my round nose pliers right at the top, and I'm not squeezing, I'm just very delicately, wrong end. I'm just very delicately popping the earring between, or the seed beads between the jaws. And I'm just going to twist just carefully, just to give it a little bit, pushing very carefully just to make it into the shape that I want it to be. So there's your little candy cane. Now if you wanted to, you could add a jump ring here, and that would give you, so that you could add it to a charm, or a charm bracelet or a necklace. But I'm going to show you how to add it to an earring. So looking at my ear wire here, you can see that my ear wire opens on this side. Hope you can see that. there's a little gap there. So I'm going to just open that using my my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to do that by holding it like this. Always hold your chain nose pliers at the side of the loop rather than like this, because you won't get a good grip that way. Our aim is to open it without changing the shape, and we move up and down, rotate it up, rather than pulling out to the side, because that would damage the loop. And I'm just going to pop this on. I'm aiming to get it between the beads. These are quite tight, so it's having a little bit of trouble. And then I'm just going to close it, and I'm actually going to close it with my fingers, I think. There we go. And you can just use your fingers to reshape it a little bit if you think it's pulled out of shape. And there you have it, one candy cane earring. Last but certainly not least, we're going to make this Christmas wreath charm. Now this could be, as I said, it's a little bit big for a charm bracelet, but it could be added to an earring, or it could be put onto a chain and worn as a necklace. To make it, you will need this 20mm smooth round drop, and this one's gold plated. I'm also using 5 of these 6mm emerald green vacuum beads, and 5 of these crystal glass faceted round beads. Now these are 6mm as well, and the colour is called Hyacinth. I've also got a 4mm jump ring, and this is a filigree wrap charm, and it is 6mm as well. Okay, let's get started. Oh, as well as that, you will need some wire, and I'm going to use 26 gauge silver wire. So I've got here a piece of wire. It's probably about 30 centimeters long, and it's, as I said, it's silver. Now I am working with a gold drop, and I chose silver because I actually really like the idea of mixing my metals. So we're going to start by just popping the end of the wire through the middle of the ring, and I'm going to wrap using my short end around 4 times. And I'm making sure that I end on the back, and you can just push your wraps up with your fingernail so that they're nice and close together. If you need to use pliers, you can. So I'm going to cut this off using the flush side of my cutters, nice and close. That's the short end I'm cutting off. Now I actually need to make sure that it's not pokey, and mine is, so I'm going to take my pliers and just give it a squeeze so that that is nicely sitting flat and there's no sharp ends. Now the reason you do that is obviously you don't want to poke yourself or your skin. Just giving those a bit more of a squeeze together with my pliers, or you don't want it to catch on your clothes. All right, so I'm going to start off. Don't worry that your wraps will fly around for a little bit, but they'll soon sort themselves out. I'm going to start off with a green emerald bead. Just pop that on my wire, and you'll notice here that that at the moment it's sitting with the hole running up and down. So I actually want it so the hole runs around the side of the ring. So I'm actually going to bring it up a little bit, and I'm going to give it a bend so that it's sitting with the edge of the bead sitting nicely against that ring. Now I'm going to do the same thing and bend it down towards the ring. And then I'm going to feed the wire through. Now I'm not poking it through from the end, I'm feeding it through quite close to where the bead is. And the reason I'm doing that is because if I was to feed it through with the end, it would actually get all twisted. So I'm going to wrap this 3 times. Notice I'm holding my bead in place with my other hand. Sometimes you will get kinks in your wire, and they're quite easy to straighten out. So now I'm pushing that up again next to my bead with my fingernail. I'm just going to unkink my wire, and to do that, you can see I've got a loop here. I'm just going to untwist it. Okay, next I'm going to put on my red hyacinth crystal bead, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure that I give it a bit of room so that it can sit nicely against my loop. Same thing again, I'm going to thread this through and wrap it 3 times. And just push those wraps up. And that's what I have. Now I'm not going to make you sit and watch me wrap these on. I will be back in a moment. So now that I've got almost all of my beads on, what I did have to do as I went round was just readjust the beads to make sure that I had enough room to put on my final bead. And I'm going to pop on this hyacinth coloured faceted round bead, if I can find the hole. And just leave that little bit of space, bringing the wire down just like we did before, and wrap it. Now this time I'm going to actually just making sure that my wraps sit on the side of between this piece of the component and the bead, and wrap it 4 times. You may need to adjust as you go. Making sure you end on the back, turn it over to the back and just trim off your wire. And once again, making sure that you've tucked in all those ends so that they don't stick out. So there's the first part of the component. Now I'm going to add the charm. I'm going to, whoops. Now my fingers are quite black because I've been working with the silver wire. That happens when you work with silver wire. Right, I'm going to open my jump ring. I'm actually going to use 2 pairs of pliers to do this because these jump rings are quite small, being only 4mm. Oops. Sometimes they're just a little bit challenging. I'm going to pop on my charm and pop that onto my earring. Okay. Oops, it fell off. And I'm just going to close up my jump ring. Okay, and then there you have it, one Christmas wreath charm. And as I said, it's a little bit large for a bracelet, but it would be really nice on an earring, as a pair of earrings, or on a necklace. So there we have 4 Christmas charms, and I'm going to be making up kits for all of these, so if you would like to purchase one of those kits, go to our website, and I will leave a link in the description below to all of the requirements that you will need to make these. I hope you've enjoyed it, and it was a little bit of a fun for me on a Saturday afternoon. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to my channel and visit my website, because all of the beading that I do is set out with step-by-step instructions in the beading projects part of my website. Thank you for watching. Merry Christmas.